You will always be exploited at work. Capitalism is the dominant economic system on Earth, and like others before it, it uses the threat of violence and ridicule as a way to make you work. If you don't work, you starve. If you don't work, you die. And if you're lucky enough to get state benefits, you're viewed by some as a tax burden unworthy of aid. So, to live and to be respected in capitalist society, you need employment. When you work, you are given raw materials like planks of wood, some linen, or unfinished spreadsheets. Then you work on the raw materials, which adds value to the material. This is why a chair is worth more than some pieces of wood, and a coat is worth more than the linen used to make it. Your labor upon the raw materials creates this increase in value. In short, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, and your labor puts them all together. This value is determined by socially necessary labor time, the average amount of time taken to produce a certain product by a worker of average skill and productivity acting with average tools. These different values are then reflected in the differing prices attached to them on the market. There are other factors, of course, such as monopoly power, fashion, supply and demand that go into the price of a commodity, but these only fluctuate a commodity's price around its objective value. They do not determine it. This is why a TV will always be more expensive than an apple. More labor is required to produce a TV than an apple, no matter how much prices fluctuate. As a worker, you sell your labor power, your capacity to produce value, to the capitalist as a commodity, and to ensure you continue to work, they pay you just enough so that you can live. Let's say hypothetically that you work at an unnamed chain fast food restaurant. The company might provide you with 50 pence worth of pre-sliced potatoes. You fry them, and then your employer sells them at the price of £1.50. Now, through your labor, you've added a whole £1 worth of value to the potatoes, transforming them into fries, or chips if you're normal. Imagine now that you work for £10 an hour. As explained, your labor must be producing some amount of value every hour. Your employer will pay you back some of that value for it in the form of a wage. If you were creating £10 of value per hour, there would be no reason to hire you, because they aren't making profit from your labor. Maybe you create £20 of value per hour. Your employer can then use you for profit. Some of that will go to other expenses like raw materials, say £5. That leaves another £5 of profit for the business owner, or what Marx would call surplus value. The shocking thing, though, is that this means you're spending half your time working for free, and the labor you do during this time is called surplus labor. Today's figures indicate that in Britain, workers spend roughly 1/3 of their labor time performing surplus labor, and in those industries which directly produce surplus value, such as factory workers, this rises to 40%. Given time and thousands of more workers exploited, your capitalist boss will achieve a hefty net worth, which is made up of work done by you and other people, not by them. They supply the tools and the raw materials, but it is ultimately your labor that produces the value that allows them to accumulate this profit. This separates the two main classes in society: the proletariat, those who work to live, and the bourgeoisie, those who exploit, those who own nothing but their labor power, and those who own the means of production. This is how the richest people on Earth become the richest people on Earth. They don't earn their money, they steal it. So how can we stop being exploited? Well, under capitalism, we can't. To gain a deeper understanding of how this system steals from you, the MLC recommends Wage, Labor and Capital, and Value, Price and Profit, both by Karl Marx. They will be linked in the description. This week on Monday the 19th at 9 PM BST in our Discord server, we will be hosting a reading of a chapter from Political Economy, which is a socialist textbook that further explains this concept. You can join our server using the invite link in the description.
The Marxist Literature Collective is an organization which aims to educate as wide of an audience as possible on socialism, anti-imperialism, and progressive issues, using a Marxist framework. We do this through a combination of online content, the links for which can be found in the description below, and through action in our local communities. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for similar content. You can also find us on Patreon, where we offer exclusive content for patrons who help support the MLC.